Previously on Nagi.
All you have to do is add the custom node, select the JSON file, I'm gonna have to do that again, isn't it? Hey, welcome back to the channel where I get so involved in adding Gen Z jokes to my videos that I forget to show you the real thing, the tutorial. In this video, I'll go through the steps of adding dialogues to your Godot project using dialog nodes, working title mind you, and later on I'll also talk about extending the add-on according to your needs. So let's start from the beginning, properly this time. Boop, 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 and boop. No, seriously, all you have to do is search for the add-on in the asset library. Make sure you select the one by BBCode, that's my channel's old name by the way. Once it's downloaded, make sure to deselect everything except the add-on folder and maybe the examples folder in case you want to test out some ready-made dialogues tailored by yours truly. Once that's done, you should start seeing the add-on folder in your project. The next step is to go to your project settings and under the plugins tab, click on the little checkbox that says enable. Once you've done that, you should start seeing a new editor on top that says Dialog Nodes, working title again. Click on that and you should be greeted by a blank screen. Head on over to File, New File, and choose the name and location of the JSON file that will hold your dialogues. Click OK and now you can start creating dialog trees. Before we begin, I'd like to tell you how the dialog trees are structured in this add-on. The file consists of several entries, each for a different node in the graph. Every graph must begin with the start node. Every start node contains a unique ID that is used to call the given tree later on in-game. Connected to the start node can be any node or nodes, and that's where all the magic happens. Coming back to our project, you can add a new start node by either going to the add menu on top or by right-clicking anywhere in the graph and selecting the start node. Give it an ID and drag its right slot and add a dialog node. The dialog node contains some value that you can fill like the speaker, the dialogue, and lastly, the options. As of now, you can add a maximum of 4 options, but you can change that as I'll show you later in this video. Now, let's test out our dialog tree by clicking the little play button on the start node. Or alternatively, select the start ID from the run menu. If there are no mistakes, you should see a dialog box appear, showing the dialogue we just wrote. If not, you can look into the console to find out what might be the issue. Let's save this file and get it into our game. If you were to look at the JSON file generated by the add-on, you'll see that the overall structure is pretty simple. So, creating a dialog box that uses this data won't be hard. Now, go on out there and create your awesome dialog box. You can do it. Hit the like and subscribe button if you— Just kidding, you don't have to code anything as long as I'm having milk and cookies, which I am, thank you for asking. So, head on over to the scene that needs the dialogues. In my case, I'll create a new scene and add a pretty background to it. Now, press Shift A or click the little plus button and search for dialog box. Add the node to your scene and unhide it. You'll see a hideous thing appear on your screen. Don't be scared, she just needs a little bit of makeup. If you want, you can change the theme to change the look of the dialog box, or just use one that comes with examples. The dialog box node is an extension of the control node. Pop-up dialog to be more specific. So, it's preferred to keep it as a child of a control node. In case you're adding it to, let's say, an NPC with a kinematic body as the scene root, make sure to add the dialog box as a child of a canvas layer node. I know it's confusing, but you must do it to ensure the dialog appears at the correct position in-game. Now, let's set up some properties for the dialog box. First, click on the node, go to the inspector, and select the JSON file we just created. Next, type in the start ID we defined in the beginning. The maximum options property is used to define the maximum number of options a dialog box can display. The options alignment defines the position the options will be displayed at. The custom effects array can be used to add your own custom effects or BB codes that you might want to use in your dialogues. You can see there's already one added, which you can use to control the text speed of your dialogues. Now, let's test out our dialogue in-game. Add a script to your scene root, and from there, in the ready function, reference the dialog box and call the start function. This function should be called whenever you want to start a dialogue. It takes the start ID as a parameter, which you can leave for now, since we already set it in the inspector. Run the game and you should see the dialogues we just created working as expected. Cool. If you've been following me so far, first of all, why? Secondly, you probably have learned all there is to create simple dialogues for your game. However, you can do only that, display dialogues. If you head on over to the node tab of the dialog box, you'll find a bunch of useful signals. You can use these in your script to run custom code whenever a dialog event occurs. For our example, let's use a signal node to trigger an event. Go back to the dialog editor and add a signal node right after the dialog. Give it a useful value and save the file. Now, connect the dialog signal of the dialog box to your script. In the code, let's check if the value is equal to the one we set and print some text. Running the dialog, you see the text gets printed whenever the signal is emitted. While testing out the add-on, I found that you can manage variables just through the dialog signals. However, it can get complicated at times. So, to make the task easier, I added a couple more features. Let's talk about the ominous looking plus button on the side. Clicking on it adds a new variable with 3 properties: a name, a type, and the default value. For now, we'll set the properties to show the number of coins the player has. We'll use int as the type and set the default value to 100. Now, to use this variable in Dialog, enclose the name in double curly braces. Let's check if it works. Great, everything's working. If it doesn't work for you, you should check for any misplaced curly braces. Now, let's add some interesting dialog to the tree. Okay, so now the dialog asks you to buy an item with the options yes and no. Note that not connecting an option to any other node makes it an end option. That stops the dialog automatically when selected. We'll connect the yes option to a set node, which is used to set the value of a variable in your dialogs. We'll set the variable coins to decrease their value by 5. Then, we'll connect another dialog node to see the value after executing the operation. So, the coins have the value 100, but after buying an item, you're left with 95. Makes sense. Now, let's add a condition node. This allows us to compare the values and change the flow of the dialog accordingly. For the left value, let's add coins in double curly braces. For the operator, let's select the less than operator. For the right value, set it to 50. Now, connect the slot for true to a new dialog. This will only run when the condition is met. So, right now the dialog is not shown when tried since the value of the coin is greater than 50. But let's say you have 10 coins, or rather 5. Then, you'll see the dialog is shown. Now, that's all there is to the add-on as of now, but you can go crazy, go stupid, and create almost all types of dialogue with this add-on. For changing the colors, look, and animation of the dialogues, there's support for BBCodes, which you can read about in the Godot documentations, or just look at the examples. In conclusion, I've tried my best to provide a tool that will help you create and display dialogues in your game in a quick and easy way. But before you begin, there are a few things that you need to keep in mind. Don't create looping dialogues that don't have an exit. You can add an exit by adding an end option, as we discussed, anywhere in the loop. Variables are stored in a dictionary in the dialog box while in-game. You can access these variables from code. However, for big projects, it's better to use the variable change signal to keep track of variables outside of the dialog box, possibly in a singleton. Always test out your dialogues in editor. In case the dialog doesn't run properly or has some issues, try and check the console for errors. Additionally, try and look at the dialog tree for any misplaced curly braces. And lastly, don't forget to have fun. Well, if you clicked on this video to learn about adding dialogues to your game, this is where the video ends. Thanks for watching. But if you plan on extending the functionality of the add-on to your growing needs,
what more do you want from me?
Let's get our hands dirty. While I've tried to keep the add-on easy for normal usage, I'm still working on making it easy to add or extend the add-on for you guys. But let's check out all the things you can do as of now to modify the add-on. If you want to do something basic like changing the number of options in the dialogues, you need to change the properties in the dialog node scene file present in this location and in the dialog box properties when you add it. Alternatively, you can change the value of all the dialog boxes by changing this script file. Talking about the dialog box, if you want to change the layout of the dialog box, all the components are generated in this particular function in the script. Modify this function to change the layout of the dialog box. If you want to add a custom node as asked by my boy Josh here, you have to create a new scene with the graph node as the root. Then add a script to it. The script must contain these 3 things. A signal modified used to notify the editor when anything is changed in this node. A function _to_dict. It takes a graph edit node as its parameter, converts this node property to a dictionary and returns the dictionary. A function from dictionary. It takes a graph edit node as well as a dictionary, loads the properties of the dictionary into itself, and then returns the name of the nodes that come after it. Other than that, you can add whatever code you want to your custom node. Now, to make this node available to use in the editor, head on over to the node editor scene and select the workplace node. In the inspector, add a new entry for your newly created custom node. Voila, you just extended the add-on. But the work is not done yet. Open the dialog box script and go to the proceed function. Depending on the index in the node scenes array you just modified, add an entry for it in the function's match case to deal with your custom node. Now, you not only have a working custom node in the editor, but it even works in-game. I hope this video helped you learn something new and would let you make awesome dialogues for your awesome games. As for me, I'll keep the development of the add-on active until it reaches superior quality or until I lose motivation. But you know what will keep you motivated? Subscribing to this channel. If you find any issues, which I know you will, or need help, which I know you do, feel free to drop a comment down below. Until next time, remember the most important thing about good dialogues is